Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a plunge into the world of Chiroptera, bats.
Yeah, definitely one of the most, let's say, misunderstood groups of animals out there.
Absolutely. And when you think about it, when you picture a bat, what comes to mind? Probably something dark, maybe a bit spooky, hanging upside down.
Right, the classic cave image.
Exactly. But we're aiming to, well, completely reshape that image for you today. Because we're talking about the only mammals that truly mastered powered flight.
Not just gliding like some squirrels, but actual sustained flight. It's a massive evolutionary achievement.
It really is. And that name, Chiroptera, gives us a clue, doesn't it?
It does. Comes straight from ancient Greek. Chier for hand and oron for wing. Hand wing. It perfectly describes them.
So let's set the stage. Just how significant is this group in the grand scheme of mammals?
Oh, it's enormous. Second only to rodents in terms of species diversity. Think about that.
Second largest order.
That's incredible. It means bats make up roughly 20% of all classified mammal species on the planet. We're talking over 1,500 known species, and scientists are still finding more.
Wow. Okay, so huge diversity.
Yeah.
And that diversity plays out in their physical form too, right? The size difference is just staggering.
Completely staggering.
Yeah.
On one end, you've got Kitty's hog-nosed bat. You might know it as the bumblebee bat.
The bumblebee bat. How small are we talking?
Tiny. Barely an inch long, maybe 30 millimeters or so.
Ah.
And it weighs just 2 grams. It's one of the smallest mammals in existence.
2 grams.
Yeah.
You'd barely feel that in your hand.
You really couldn't. Now, jump to the other extreme. The giant golden-crowned flying fox.
Okay, that sounds impressive.
It is. This one can weigh up to 1.5 kilograms. That's over 3 pounds. And its wingspan.
Let me guess. Big.
Huge. Up to 1.6 meters. That's over 5 feet across.
5 feet. From a 2-gram bat to a 5-foot wingspan. That really drives home the incredible range within Chiroptera.
Exactly. And that range influences everything, their diet, how they navigate, and critically, how they manage this unique ability, flight, which is where we should probably start.
Right. Flight, the defining feature. They're the only mammals doing it, properly doing it. So how does a standard mammal arm become this high-performance wing? What's the secret sauce?
The secret is really in the hand and the membrane connecting it, the patagium. A bird's wing is feathers on fused bones, quite rigid.
Oh.
A bat's wing is, well, it's mostly hand. The finger bones are incredibly elongated.
Stretched right out.
Dramatically stretched out. They form the struts, the supports for that thin, elastic skin, the patagium.
And this isn't just random growth, is it? There's a specific genetic mechanism behind stretching those finger bones so much.
Precisely. It's down to the expression of certain genes, specifically bone morphogenetic proteins, or BMPs. During development, the BIC-MP2 gene signal is turned way up, but only in the forelimbs.
Not the hind leg.
Not the hind limbs.
Mm-hmm.
This targeted boost causes that extreme proportional elongation of the fingers needed for the wing structure.
A tiny genetic tweak with massive consequences.
Absolutely massive. And it's not just length. The bones themselves are adapted, they're flattened in cross-section, and they actually become less mineralized towards the fingertips.
Less mineralized, meaning more flexible.
Exactly. Flexibility without sacrificing essential strength. This lets the wing twist and camber, change its shape dynamically in flight.
Which must give them an edge over birds in terms of maneuverability.
Definitely. Bats are often much more agile than birds of a similar size. That flexible wing generates more lift with less drag compared to a stiffer, feathered wing. It's like having tiny adjustments possible all along the wing surface.
And there's more to the wing membrane itself, isn't there? It's not just passive skin.
Not at all. It's packed with specialized touch-sensitive receptors, Merkel cells.
Sensors in the wings. What do?
They provide real-time aerodynamic feedback. These cells detect tiny changes in airflow, in pressure, telling the bat instantly how the air is moving over the wing.
So it can make micro adjustments on the fly.
Literally on the fly. Adjusting tension, curvature. It's an active control surface, far more sophisticated than, say, a flying squirrel's membrane or even a bird's wing in some respects.
Okay, so they're agile, they have sensory feedback, but flight is incredibly energy intensive. How do they manage the cost?
Ah, yes, the energy savings. This is clever. It's about the upstroke. When they bring their wings up, they don't keep them fully extended like a bird often does.
What do they do instead?
They fold them inwards, tucking them close to their body.
Reducing the effort needed to lift the wing back up.
Precisely. It drastically reduces the inertia, the mass they have to move against gravity on that upstroke. Estimates suggest this saves around 35% of the energy for that part of the wing beat.
35%.
Mm.
That's a significant saving. No wonder they've been so successful.
It's a key factor. Makes powered flight much more sustainable.
Okay, that covers the how of flight. But what about the origin? The big evolutionary question. Did they start leaping from trees or running along the ground?
The evidence points quite strongly towards the trees down hypothesis, an arboreal ancestor that started by gliding.
Gliding first, then powered flight.
Seems likely. And this is important because it suggests flight evolved before the really sophisticated echolocation we see in many bats today.
And the fossil record backs this up.
Yes, the key piece of evidence is a fossil called Onychonectarus finnii, found in Wyoming. It dates back about 52 million years, Eocene period.
Onychonectarus. What was special about it?
It was beautifully preserved, the oldest complete skeleton. And it showed this mix of features. It had claws on all 5 fingers. Modern bats usually just have one on the thumb.
Okay, a primitive trait.
Right. And critically, its hind legs were longer, and its wings were shorter and broader compared to modern bats.
Shorter, broader wings, meaning less efficient for continuous flight.
That's the interpretation. It suggests Onychonectarus wasn't a powerful, sustained flyer. It probably used gravity, maybe alternating short flapping bursts with glides. It could flutter, but maybe not commute long distances purely by flapping.
So using height, gliding down.
Yeah.
That fits the trees down idea. Flight first, sonar later.
Exactly. It likely relied more on vision initially, navigating from heights, and then later developed that incredibly precise echolocation for hunting in total darkness.
Speaking of echolocation, that actually leads to a major shakeup in how we classify bats, doesn't it? The old megabat versus microbat idea is kind of obsolete now.
It really is. That was based on simple observation, big fruit bats versus small insect-eating bats, basically. But genetics, molecular data, tells a very different story.
What does the DNA say?
It forced a complete reorganization. We now divide bats into 2 new suborders, Yimterochoroptera and Yangochoroptera.
Yin and yang bats.
Kind of. And here's the kicker for you. The traditional megabats, the Pteropodidae family, the big fruit bats that mostly don't use laryngeal echolocation, they are now placed firmly within the Yimterochoroptera group.
Wait, so the non-echolocating big bats are genetically grouped with some families of echolocating microbats?
That's right. They share a closer ancestry with some echolocators than those echolocators do with the other big group, the Yangochoroptera.
Okay, my head hurts slightly.
Yeah.
What does that imply about how echolocation evolved? Did it appear multiple times or appear once and then get lost?
That's the million-dollar question. And honestly, the jury is still out. It presents 2 really complex scenarios. Scenario 1, complex laryngeal echolocation, the kind made in the voice box, evolved independently twice. Once in the ancestor of Yangochoroptera, and separately in the rhinolophoids within Yimterochoroptera.
Evolving something that complex twice seems unlikely, doesn't it?
It does stretch credulity a bit. The alternative, scenario 2, is that laryngeal echolocation evolved just once in the common ancestor of all bats.
Okay.
But then it was lost in the lineage leading to the Chiropodidae, the megabats, maybe as they specialized in fruit eating and relied more on vision and smell.
Lost, but maybe not entirely.
Yeah.
You mentioned some megabats still use clicks.
Exactly. Some megabats, like the genus Rosetus, use a simpler form of echolocation, making clicks with their tongue, not their larynx, mainly for navigating in dark caves. This could be a remnant or maybe something re-evolved. It's complicated.
So evidence for both sides.
Pretty much. Studies on hearing-related genes, like Preston, sometimes support the evolve twice idea, but looking at the physical structure of the inner ear, the cochlea, suggests a common origin.
Fascinating. So flight definitely evolved once.
Right.
Echolocation, much more complex.
A much twistier evolutionary path for their amazing sonic senses.
Which brings us squarely into those sensory superpowers. For most bats, the microbats, echolocation isn't just a sense, it's how they construct reality in the dark.
It absolutely defines their world. They're essentially painting a picture with sound waves. They send out these incredibly sophisticated ultrasonic pulses.
Ultrasonic meaning way above human hearing.
Way above. These sounds are produced in the larynx, the voice box, and emitted either through the open mouth or, in some species, through really elaborate structures on their faces called nose leaves.
Nose leaves, like little satellite dishes for sound.
That's a great analogy. They help focus and shape the outgoing sound beam, giving them more control over where they're looking with sound.
And these calls are loud, right? Really loud.
Unbelievably loud at the source. We're talking potentially over 140 decibels for some species.
140 decibels. That's like a jet engine taking off nearby. How do they not deafen themselves?
They have protective mechanisms. Tiny muscles in their middle ear, the stapedius muscle, contract just milliseconds before they emit a pulse. It physically dampens their own hearing sensitivity for a fraction of a second.
Okay, clever trick.
Okay.
But how do they pick out the faint echo returning from, say, a tiny moth against the noise of their own outgoing shout?
That comes down to incredibly precise timing and frequency analysis. There are two main strategies bats use.
Right. Low-duty and high-duty cycle.
Exactly. Low-duty cycle echolocators emit a very short pulse. Then they listen in the silence for the echo to return before they send out the next pulse.
I'll listen, call, listen. Simple alternation.
Relatively simple, yes, based on time separation. It works well, but the information isn't continuous.
Okay, then there's high-duty cycle. This one sounds more complex.
It is significantly more complex and really elegant. High-duty cycle bats emit a much longer, continuous pulse. They don't rely on silence between call and echo.
So how do they separate the outgoing sound from the incoming echo if they're happening at the same time?
They use frequency, specifically the Doppler effect. Because the bat is moving and the prey might be moving, the frequency of the returning echo is shifted slightly compared to the emitted pulse.
Ah, the same effect that makes an ambulance siren change pitch as it passes you.
Precisely that. This frequency shift tells the bat a huge amount about the target's velocity and relative position in real time.
But doesn't the bat's own movement also cause a Doppler shift in the echo it receives? How does it account for that?
This is the genius part. They perform what's called Doppler shift compensation. As the bat flies faster towards a target, the echo frequency naturally gets higher. To counteract this, the bat actively lowers the frequency of its emitted pulse.
It adjusts its voice on the fly.
Exactly. It adjusts its outgoing call frequency so that the returning echo, after being Doppler shifted by the bat's own motion, always falls within a very narrow frequency band where the bat's hearing is exquisitely sensitive.
Wow. It's like they're constantly tuning their broadcast to keep the reception crystal clear on their most sensitive channel.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's dynamic, real-time signal processing of the highest order, biological sonar at its peak.
Which, of course, leads to an evolutionary arms race. Prey aren't just sitting ducks, or sitting moths in this case.
Absolutely not. Many insects, especially moths, have evolved countermeasures. Tiger moths are the classic example.
What do they do?
Well, first, many moths have evolved simple ears, tympanal organs that can detect the bat's ultrasonic clicks. When they hear a bat coming, some just take evasive action, like power dives or erratic spirals.
Trying to shake them off.
Right. But others go on the offensive, acoustically speaking. Some tiger moths produce their own ultrasonic clicks.
Clicks back at the bat.
Two main reasons. One is an acoustic warning aposematism. The clicks basically say, hey, I taste disgusting, don't bother eating me. Bats can learn to associate the clicks with a bad meal.
Okay, a warning signal. What's the other reason?
Jamming. Some moths produce rapid, complex bursts of clicks specifically designed to interfere with the bat's echolocation signal. It creates acoustic clutter, making it harder for the bat to precisely locate the moth.
Acoustic warfare in the night sky. Incredible. Now, let's bust that myth. Bats are not blind.
Not even close. It's one of the biggest misconceptions. No bat species is truly blind.
So microbats, the echolocating ones, they still use their eyes.
Definitely. Echolocation is fantastic for close-range hunting and navigating complex environments, but vision is crucial for long-distance orientation. Think commuting between the roost and feeding grounds miles away. They primarily have what's called mesopic vision.
Mesopic, meaning
Their eyes are adapted for low-light conditions. They see best at twilight, dawn, or on moonlit nights. Not great in bright daylight, but excellent when light is scarce.
And the megabats, the big fruit bats that generally don't echolocate like the microbats do.
They have excellent eyesight, often comparable to or better than other nocturnal mammals. They need it to find ripe fruit in dense foliage, sometimes from a distance.
And they might even see colors we don't.
There's evidence for color vision in some, yes, helping them judge fruit ripeness. And some research suggests certain species can detect ultraviolet light.
UV light. Why would that be useful?
Many flowers and fruits have UV patterns specifically to attract pollinators or seed dispersers, including nocturnal ones like bats. So seeing UV could help them spot their next meal more easily.
Amazing. Okay, sight and sound covered. But bats have a couple more, even more usual sensory tricks up their wings.
Magnetism.
Yes, magnetoreception.
Yeah.
Like birds, many microbats can sense the Earth's magnetic field. They seem to use it as a compass, primarily for long-distance navigation during migration.
How does it work? Do we know? The leading theory is that they use a polarity compass. They can distinguish north from south, helping them maintain a consistent bearing, especially when visual landmarks are absent during night flights or over large bodies of water.
An internal compass. And the final sense, this one's unique to just one type of bat, right? Infrared.
That's right. Reserved for the vampire bat, specifically the common vampire bat, Desmodus rotundus.
How do they sense heat?
They have specialized pit organs near their nose, packed with heat-sensitive nerve endings connected to the trigeminal nerve. They function like thermal receptors.
Not just detecting warmth, but actually seeing heat differences.
Exactly. They can detect temperature differences of just a few degrees. This allows them to scan the skin of their sleeping prey, usually cattle or other large mammals, and pinpoint the exact location of superficial blood vessels where the blood is flowing closest to the surface.
A heat map guiding them to the perfect spot to bite. That's chillingly effective.
It's an incredibly precise targeting system for finding their very specific food source.
And that diverse sensory toolkit allows bats to exploit just about every food source imaginable. Their dietary range is as vast as their species diversity.
It really is. They've specialized incredibly. The majority, especially in places like North America and Europe, are insectivores. They are the night shift for pest control.
And they eat a lot of insects.
An astonishing amount. Because flight is so energy hungry, an insectivorous bat might eat over 100%, maybe even 120% of its own body weight in insects every single night.
Wow. What kind of insects?
All sorts. Moths, beetles, flies, and importantly, mosquitoes. They play a significant role in keeping mosquito populations in check, which has knock-on effects for disease transmission. Some even eat things like spiders or scorpions off the ground.
This insect consumption isn't just ecologically important, it's economically valuable too, right? Especially for farming.
Hugely valuable. The estimates vary, naturally, because it's hard to pin down exact numbers across a whole continent. But the consensus is that bats save the U.S. agricultural industry billions of dollars every year.
Billions.
By eating crop pests, things like corn earworm moths, cucumber beetles, cotton bollworms. Fewer pests mean less crop damage and, crucially, less need for farmers to spend money on chemical pesticides.
So direct pest reduction and reduced pesticide costs, what kind of figures are we talking?
The estimates range widely from maybe $3.7 billion on the conservative end up to potentially over $50 billion per year. Even the low end is a massive contribution. They are providing essential ecosystem services for free. Oh, and their droppings, guano, are also mined as a rich fertilizer.
Right, guano. So insectivores are key.
Right.
But then you have the plant specialists.
Yes, the frugivores, fruit eaters, and nectarivores, nectar drinkers. They are vital pollinators and seed dispersers, particularly in tropical and desert ecosystems.
How many plants rely on them?
Estimates around 500 different species of flowering plants depend on bats for pollination. This includes things we eat like bananas, mangoes, durian, and also agave, the plant used to make tequila.
So next time you have a margarita, think of bat.
You absolutely should. These plants often have specific adaptations. Pale flowers that open at night, strong scents, robust structures to support a perching bat.
And some nectar-feeding bats have equally amazing adaptations. That tube-lipped nectar bat. Tell us about its tongue.
Anora fistulata. It's legendary.
Yeah.
It holds the record for the longest tongue relative to body size of any mammal.
How long are we talking?
The tongue itself can be about 8.5 centimeters long. That's 1.5 times its entire body length.
1.5 times. Where does it even keep it?
It can't fit coiled up just in the mouth or throat. When retracted, the base of the tongue, the mechanism, actually extends down inside its rib cage, near the heart and lungs.
It stores its tongue in its chest cavity.
Essentially, yes. This incredible setup allows it to reach nectar deep inside specific long-tubed flowers, particularly Centropogon nigri, that other animals can't access. It's a perfect example of coevolution.
That is absolutely wild. Okay, insects, fruit, nectar, but some bats are hunters, right? Eating vertebrates.
Yes, there are specialists there, too. The greater bulldog bat, for example, hunts fish.
Fish? How?
It flies low over water using echolocation to detect tiny ripples made by fish near the surface. Then it uses its large, sharp-clawed feet to gaff the fish out of the water.
Wow. And others hunt frogs.
Indeed. The fringe-lipped bat is famous for listening to frog mating calls. It can distinguish the calls of poisonous frogs from edible ones, and even tell different species apart just by their calls, and swoops down to grab its preferred meal.
Learning the local frog singles scene?
Pretty much. And some larger bats, like the spectral bat in the neotropics, are top predators, hunting birds, rodents, and even other smaller bat species.
A diverse menu. Which brings us inevitably to the most specialized feeders of all, the vampires.
The hematophagus bats. There are only 3 species out of over 1,500 that feed exclusively on blood. The common vampire bat is the best known.
And they have a whole suite of adaptations for this unique diet. How do they even approach their prey, which is usually much larger and asleep?
They're surprisingly agile on the ground. They often land near their sleeping prey, like cattle, and then approach stealthily on foot. They use their thumbs and folded wings, almost like front legs, to walk, or even bound forward quite quickly and quietly.
Okay, so they get close. Then what? How do they make the incision?
They have heat sensors, as we mentioned, to find a good spot with blood flow near the surface. Then they use their incredibly sharp, blade-like upper incisor teeth. These teeth actually lack enamel on the cutting edge, which helps them stay razor sharp through wear. They make a very small, precise slice, almost like a shaving cut, not a puncture.
Designed not to wake the host.
Exactly. And then comes the saliva. It's loaded with chemicals.
Anticoagulants?
Potent anticoagulants, yes. The most famous is called Draculin. This keeps the blood flowing freely from the small wound. They don't suck the blood, by the way.
You don't. How do they drink it then?
They lap it up. Their tongue has grooves on the underside that use capillary action to draw the blood into their mouth quite efficiently.
And their insides must be pretty specialized, too.
Absolutely. Their digestive system is adapted to rapidly process the protein and, crucially, excrete the water quickly. They often start urinating within minutes of feeding, sometimes while still attached, to shed weight so they can fly away. And uniquely among vertebrates, they lack the enzyme maltase because their diet has virtually no carbohydrates.
A truly extreme specialization. Now, this amazing ecological diversity, especially the insectivores, is facing a huge threat, certainly in North America. White nose syndrome.
It's an ecological catastrophe. WNS is caused by a fungus, Pseudogymnoascus destructans. And it's devastating hibernating bats.
It's a cold-loving fungus, right? So it thrives in the caves where bats hibernate.
Precisely. It grows on their exposed skin muzzle, ears, wings, while they're in deep hibernation when their body temperature is low and their immune system is suppressed.
Does the fungus itself kill them directly?
Not usually. The main problem is that the fungal growth irritates them. It causes them to wake up from hibernation far more often than they should.
And waking up burns energy.
Burns a lot of energy. Hibernation is all about conserving stored fat reserves to survive the winter when there's no food. Each time a bat wakes up, it uses up a significant chunk of those reserves.
So they wake up too often, run out of fat,
and they starve to death before spring arrives, or they become dehydrated, or they might fly out of the cave in desperation midwinter trying to find insects that aren't there, and freeze or starve.
The impact has been massive, hasn't it?
Horrific. Since it was first found in New York around 2006, it's spread across much of North America. In some caves, for some species like the little brown bat, the mortality rate has been over 90%, sometimes hitting 99%.
And 99%?
Millions upon millions of bats killed. It's completely restructured bat populations in eastern North America and is continuing to spread west. The long-term ecological consequences, especially for insect control, are really worrying.
Moving from ecology to their individual lives. Bats are outliers again when it comes to lifespan. For their size, they live an incredibly long time.
It's one of the great paradoxes of mammalian biology. Small mammals typically have very short lifespans. Think of a mouse living maybe 2-3 years max.
Right, fast metabolism, live fast, die young.
Exactly. But bats completely break that rule. On average, they live about 3.5 times longer than other mammals of a similar size.
3.5 times longer. And what's the record?
The known record is held by a species called Brandt's bat, Myotis brandti, or possibly a closely related Siberian species. Myotis sibiricus, or some taxonomic debate. One individual was recaptured in the wild an astonishing 41 years after it was first banded.
41 years. For an animal that weighs just a few grams, that's ancient.
It's the equivalent of a human living for centuries. It fundamentally challenges our understanding of the relationship between body size, metabolism, and aging.
So how do they do it? What's the mechanism behind this extreme longevity?
A major factor seems to be their ability to enter states of controlled metabolic slowdown, torpor, and hibernation. This is called heterothermy.
Heterothermy, variable body temperature.
Right. Instead of maintaining a constant high body temperature like most mammals, bats can let their temperature drop significantly, especially during hibernation.
How low can it go?
During deep hibernation in a cold cave, their body temperature can plummet to just above freezing, maybe 6 degrees Celsius, sometimes up to 30 C, depending on the roost. And alongside that temperature drop, their metabolic rate crashes.
Heart rate, breathing, everything slows right down.
Everything slows dramatically. Energy usage can drop by 50%, even up to 99% compared to their active state.
And the theory is this metabolic slowdown also slows down aging.
That's the leading hypothesis. Aging is linked to metabolic processes generating damage over time, oxidative stress, DNA damage, cellular wear and tear. By spending long periods in a near-suspended state with drastically reduced metabolism, bats essentially slow down that accumulation of damage.
They press pause on the aging process during hibernation.
In a way, yes. Less metabolic activity means less damage generated per unit of time, allowing them to live much longer overall compared to a similar-sized mammal that's running its engine hot all the time. This ability to cycle between intense activity, flight, and deep rest, torpor hibernation, seems key.
This incredible biological resilience, this longevity, ties into another complex aspect, their relationship with diseases. They live long, they fly far, they gather in huge numbers.
Oh.
Which makes them notable reservoirs for pathogens.
It does, and it's crucial we discuss this factually and without causing undue alarm. Bats are natural hosts for a remarkable diversity of viruses, including many that can potentially spill over into other mammals, including humans, zoonotic pathogens.
We're talking things like rabies, obviously, but also others that have made headlines.
Yes. Rabies is well known, but bats also host viruses like Nipah, Hendra, Marburg, possibly Ebola, and importantly, a wide array of coronaviruses. This includes viruses genetically related to the ones that caused SARS and MERS and the ancestor of SARS-CoV-2.
What is it about bats that makes them such effective long-term hosts for these viruses?
It's a combination of factors we've touched on. Their ability to fly gives them high mobility and wide distribution, spreading viruses over large areas. Their longevity means they can harbor a virus for years, and their intense social behavior roosting in colonies that can number in the millions, like Bracken Cave in Texas.
20 million bats in one cave.
Exactly. That creates incredible opportunities for viruses to transmit easily and persist within the bat population.
But here's the really fascinating part, the critical nuance. While they carry all these viruses that can be deadly to other mammals, the bats themselves often seem completely unaffected.
That's the core puzzle and a major focus of research. Bats exhibit an extraordinary tolerance to viral infections. They can carry high viral loads without showing the severe symptoms or diseases that these same viruses cause in humans or other animals.
How is that possible? Do they just have superpowered immune systems?
It's more like a uniquely balanced immune system. The leading theory connects it back to the evolution of flight.
Flight again. How?
Powered flight is incredibly metabolically demanding. It generates a lot of heat and byproducts that can cause cellular stress and DNA damage, things that would normally trigger a strong inflammatory immune response.
Okay.
Bats seem to have evolved ways to constantly manage and dampen this potential inflammation caused by flight. They have pathways, like the esting pathway involved in detecting viral DNA, that seem to be constitutively on but tuned down, providing baseline antiviral defense without triggering damaging hyperinflammation.
So their immune system is always sort of alert because of flight stress, but also really good at not overreacting.
That seems to be the key. They tolerate the virus without mounting the kind of massive inflammatory response, the cytokine storm, that often causes the most severe damage in other infected mammals. Their flight adaptations inadvertently pre-adapted them to handle viral infections differently.
Understanding that immune tolerance could be revolutionary for human medicine.
Absolutely. If we can figure out how bats tolerate viruses without getting sick, it could lead to entirely new ways to treat viral diseases or inflammatory conditions in humans. They're not just victors, they're models of disease tolerance.
It really flips the script. Which brings us to how humans perceive bats culturally. It's incredibly polarized, isn't it?
Massively polarized. Bats occupy this weird space mammals that fly, active at night, emerging from caves or darkness. In Western cultures, that's often translated into negative symbolism.
Darkness, death, witchcraft. Vampires, obviously, thanks to Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Exactly. Fear of the unknown, association with night and shadowy things. Even some Native American traditions view them as trickster figures. It's predominantly negative or suspicious.
But turn to the east, and it's a completely different story.
Totally different. In China, bats are powerful symbols of good fortune and happiness. The word for bat, fu, sounds identical to the word for good fortune or blessings.
So seeing a bat is lucky.
Very lucky. Traditionally, images of 5 bats represent the 5 blessings: long life, wealth, health, love of virtue, and a peaceful death. They're overwhelmingly positive symbols.
And elsewhere.
In ancient Mayan culture, bats were associated with the underworld, but also seen as powerful intermediaries, guardians of caves, which were considered gateways to the realm of the gods. The Zapotec people had a bat god associated with corn and fertility. So this deep cultural duality exists: fear and pestilence versus luck, longevity and divinity. It says a lot about how we interpret the natural world. #outro.
Well, this has been an incredible journey through the world of Chiroptera, from their unique status as the only flying mammals,
Right down to the genetic switches like BMP that made that hand wing possible.
and their absolutely mind-bending sensory abilities, that high-duty cycle echolocation with Doppler shift compensation.
Or the infrared targeting of vampire bats and the acoustic jamming duels with moths. Just amazing adaptations.
We've seen their massive ecological significance both as vital insectivores saving agriculture billions,
And as crucial pollinators and seed dispersers, sometimes with bizarre adaptations like that chest-stored tongue.
while also confronting the devastating reality of threats like white nose syndrome.
A truly sobering conservation crisis.
And finally, diving into their strange life history, that incredible longevity defying their small size, likely linked to hibernation and metabolic control.
And their paradoxical role as reservoirs for potent viruses, yet possessing an immune system that tolerates these infections in ways we're only beginning to understand.
Which leads us to our final thought for you, our listener. Consider this. Bats are unique. They conquered flight, something no other mammal managed. They live extraordinarily long lives for their size, and they carry viruses that are lethal to us, yet they thrive.
So the question is, what evolutionary secrets are locked away in their unique physiology? How did the extreme demands of flight shape not only their wings, but their metabolism, their longevity, their very immune systems?
Could understanding the bat's blueprint for managing energy, resisting aging, and tolerating disease unlock revolutionary approaches in human medicine? Could the secrets to a longer, healthier life or fighting pandemics be hidden in the biology of this creature we so often misunderstand or even fear?
It's something profound to think about. This animal, often relegated to the shadows of our imagination, might hold keys to our own future health and understanding of life itself.
Definitely food for thought. We hope this deep dive has given you a new appreciation for the hidden world of bats.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.